This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Well, good afternoon, Peg.
Well, good afternoon.
And here we are in beautiful Ohio.
Yes, and Pete and I, we've been doing this now for years. I mean, if you think about it, Pete, we have been on Business Talk, I think, here maybe a couple, 3 years. And then even before that, we were doing it a couple of years. We took a little break. So it's great to be back.
Yeah, this is great.
Great to be back. And,
awesome.
And so what our goal is to make sure that you're going to walk away with ideas and strategies to help yourself, whether you're a leader in a company that you don't own, or whether it's you are an owner,
right,
or whether you are part of a family of owners. You are going to walk away with ideas of what you can do to help.
You can improve your business and your life.
Yes.
Both of them.
And that's what we do. And Pete and I have been doing this for the last,
13 years.
13 years together, and we've built a firm here in Columbus. And just so you know, Pete and I, we have, there's 4 of us coaches,
right,
and we are looking to add on more coaches. So if you have interest in being a coach, you can reach out to us.
Yeah, just write your name and address on a $100 bill and mail it to Salem Communications.
I like that.
Kidding.
That's funny. Oh, you're hilarious. I love it, Pete.
But you could call us at 614-306-7922.
I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do is the format is going to be we're going to do some good news, right?
Oh, we always do a little good news.
Oh, love your good news. And then
we're going to talk about how do we increase the value of your business? What are the things that drive an increase in value of a business?
And what I'm going to do is interview Pete a little bit on this, because he just most recently ended up taking a company and their value dramatically high by creating these drivers. And let's talk a little bit of a case study of how you did this,
sure,
which I think is it's fantastic as you've done it. And you've done it over the last year and a half.
Right.
Year and a half.
And it's fun. It's enjoyable because really you're helping improve people's lives, not just the owners, but the employees too.
So we'll take you through that of what he did to increase the value drivers, which is great. But first, tell us a little good news.
All right, so Here's some good news, and especially you college students. I know there are a lot of college students listening to Business Talk. We're big in that community.
Oh, yeah.
The title of this says, Study Tells College Students to Sleep Late.
Oh, okay.
So cancel that 8 o'clock class, kid. Hit the snooze button.
Okay.
Oh, it's Saturday, but anyway. It says college students, by and large, aren't morning people. Building on a growing body of research, it suggests that young adults aren't equipped to do their best learning in the early morning hours. Now, this is for high school students as well. Second-year college students, their brain doesn't really kick in until 11 a.m., so morning calculus classes aren't so good. So it's really just reminding us that when you're in your formative years, you need more sleep.
I like that. Okay, I like that. You know what? And anybody who has kids, which I do, I have young kids, and I can see that in the morning they're not as quick. They're not, and it's interesting because they both play soccer, and the coaches, such good coaching, and they're always like, "Well, get there 45 minutes ahead of time, especially if it's an early game, just to get them waking up."
Yeah,
you got to get them wake up. So, okay, good.
So a couple other things, good news. Economists trim growth forecasts. So there's one article that says, well, it's kind of bad because a few months ago, some of these folks were forecasting 2.3% growth in the fourth quarter. Then it dropped to 1.9%. But the next article, and this is where I like it, is inflation returns to an economic sweet spot. So our inflation's around 2%. And the Federal Reserve has been targeting 2% for years, and we haven't gotten there, but we're hovering around it. So we're right about where they've targeted the economy to grow at a nice, even pace for a long, long time, and we're there.
And that's what we want.
Yeah, that's what we want.
That is good news, Pete.
Yeah.
That is good news.
Okay, and the last thing is if you happen to go to Dubai, they're talking about flying taxis. Now, you remember the Jetsons?
Yes.
Peg, you don't remember the Jetsons because,
Oh, I do remember.
Been,
Oh, I love the Jetsons.
You remember the Jetsons. Okay.
I think I could even sing the song.
What was the dog's name? Astro. Right?
Astro. Yes.
Okay.
You could probably be
the little mechanical dog.
With you could probably be Astro because your voice is so raspy.
Oh yeah, isn't that cool? I think I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm starting to like it.
Tell us about.
But anyway, Dubai.
Taxes.
Of course, they've got all these really big buildings, but they're talking about having drone taxis, space for one person and a suitcase that would fly around 60 miles an hour, linked to a control center on the ground. So you hop into this vehicle, and just like the Jetsons, zing, the thing takes off with you in one suitcase and goes where you want to go.
Like
They're
how
working
far?
on this.
Does it say
right
how far?
now.
Like around the city or like?
Well, I'm assuming it's around the city, but it said it's a part of an ambitious effort by Dubai to be on the cutting edge of new technologies, and the goal is to prove connectivity and boost the Emirates' growing representation as a global trade and tourism hub. So they want people to come here just because they've got cool taxis that will drive them around.
But honestly, I can see
just in
people
the
doing
city.
it.
Oh, here we go. Currently, the 75-mile-an-hour trip from the airport takes 75 miles. Takes more than an hour by car. So this would just take a few minutes.
Oh, wow.
12-minute ride averaging 375 miles per hour. Wow.
Wow,
Holy
I
cow,
do
Harry.
like that. That's a neat. Now, Pete, you've got some interesting news today. A+ on that. Star in your forehead.
Okay.
That was good. Good news.
Yeah,
Good news and
cool,
interesting news. Okay, so this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk, and today's topic. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go through value drivers, and
Yes.
then if we have enough at the end, we're going to have some tips.
Tips
right?
for you leaders out there.
Tips for leaders. So, depending on how in depth we go, because I really do want you to share your case study and your stories
Right.
of how you did increase the value of this one company by millions of dollars, which is one of the things Pete and I do. So we go into companies and increase the value.
Well, and that's part of our goal is to, number one, help the business owner. And in some cases, there are things that they want fixed, right? So we go in and we help them fix whatever that problem is. Maybe a department, and maybe some employees, or it might be I don't have enough sales, those kind of things. We also want to always be driving the value of the business. And that's why this is a great show, because that's one of our underlying, it's a constant part of the goals no matter what we do.
Okay.
We
got
always
it.
want to increase the value of the business.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So as you're looking at your business, tell me a little bit about, is there any place you start? Like, should you start at one place versus another, or does it depend?
Well, let me give you a few overview. And if you're home and you've got a piece of paper, you can jot these things down. So number one, and we look for these things when we go in to work with someone, we want to find out, number one, we ask them three things. Number one, are you willing to learn? You want to learn more about how you can run the business better or make yourself better. Mm-hmm. Number two, will you change when change becomes apparent that it's needed? And then three, will you follow through? Will you do what you say you're going to do? So those big three things. And then the number one bullet point here on value drivers is a stable and motivated management team.
Doesn't that make sense, though? Okay.
So let's pretend we're walking a buyer through the business and we want them to sell, and it's 10 years from today. We're selling to this buyer that has deep pockets, and they're going to take over our business. This buyer wants to see that you've got a stable and motivated team of people that can operate this business without you being there.
No, that makes sense a lot. It was interesting. Pete and I were at a conference in Houston, Texas, not too long ago,
Right.
a few months ago. And Keith Cunningham, is the author of Keys to the Vault. He was also the brainchild behind Think and Grow Rich.
Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yes, thank you.
Keith was actually in the Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He was the rich dad.
And one of the things that Keith gets up and says as owners and as CEOs, and if you're running a company, you need to have your mind on four things. One of them, which you were just talking about, is your org chart and putting people in the right place, having a strong management team, making sure that you have the people in the right place.
Sure.
And that was, and just so I'll tell you the other three, just because I've started that.
No, you leave us hanging.
I can't leave you hanging. The other one is making sure that you're a watch over the culture, the way people treat each other.
You're the protector of the culture.
You're a protector of the culture. Yeah. The other thing is you want to make sure that you are removing any obstacles, making sure that you remove any obstacles and then create a machine behind that. And then the fourth is you want to make sure that your resources are put in the right place. So as you're running a company, those are the four priorities that you have in running a company. Right. So that was resources, org chart with the people, that was culture, protection of the culture, and removing obstacles.
Yeah, so you could use that as a scorecard at the end of the week. Take a look at those four things and see how well you did this past week on those things.
I like that. So going back to these drivers, Pete, one was that. Okay.
So let's start. Number one was the stable, motivated management team.
Got it.
And that includes you, but it's really about the other folks because you're the one that wants to leave, right, at some point.
Right.
Operating systems that improve and sustain cash flow.
Okay.
Businesses want to see, or business buyers want to see, steady streams of cash flow and hopefully increasing percentages of cash flow,
Got it.
improving over time. And then a solid, diversified customer base, a facility appearance that's consistent with your asking price. I'm going to sell this very high-value business, but you walk into my office, my warehouse, my shop, and it's a mess, right?
Oh.
We don't want that. We want something that's spotless and beautiful.
Love it.
A realistic growth strategy. So how could I grow this even if you're not here? Financial controls. So we want to make sure that you have systems in place to make sure that you're collecting on time, that you're reviewing your financial reports, that you're doing things properly, and then good and improving cash flow. We mentioned that.
Okay.
So those are the big ones.
So when we return, we're going to go through this and how
Right.
a case study, how you did this with one company and what it looked like.
Sure.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
So we're talking about your business and what things drive value in the business. How do we increase the value of your business over time?
And we're calling it the value drivers.
Yep.
And before the break, Pete went through the whole list that we're going to go through now a little bit more in depth.
Right.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the management team.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay.
It starts with you, too. And so this is the management team. Now, some of the things that, and Peg mentioned these, that the management team is focused on, hopefully, are setting objectives, making sure that goals are set in each area of the business and they're clear and they're communicated to people that need to know. Monitoring activities. So it's great to set goals, but then if you go to Florida and never check, right?
Right.
We want to make sure that what you want to happen is actually happening.
That does make sense. Yes.
So you've got to be there to observe or be plugged in some way that you know that things are happening the way you want them to happen. And these are for all the management team, right? Not just you.
So each
And
person.
Each person in the management team, and then motivating our employees. So we want our employees to be supported in a way that allows them to be fulfilled and satisfied and challenged in their job and to be held accountable, but also to be supported when they need it.
Okay. Got it.
And all those things come from the management team. So we want to be able to surround ourselves with people who enjoy working with others.
Okay. So now, Pete, in this case study, when you went into this company, and we're going to leave the name out, but you went in and you saw the company and
Right.
you realized there was some holes in this first thing. Tell me what you saw and what happened.
Well, I spent enough time there with them over the phone and also in person to recognize, and this is one of the first things I did, is ask the owner, and actually it's the owner and a wife. His wife was in the office management part of the business. She has still a second business that is growing, and her passion was in business 2, not business 1.
Which is where she was spending most of her time?
Well, she was spending her most of her time in the business that her husband runs, but she had to be there because it's grown so much that it's grabbing more and more of her time and not allowing her to spend time on the thing that she's really passionate about, which is her second business.
Got it. Okay.
So I got an idea what was going on there. The other thing I asked the owner to do is to give me an idea, and then I observed a lot of it, is where are you spending most of your time? And then what are the things you absolutely love to do? So let's find out what he really likes,
Got it.
and then let's figure out what he's actually doing.
Okay. So how long did it take you to get this?
Not long.
Not
And
long.
The one great thing about this gentleman is he's very fast, extremely fast paced. Fine, I'll get you an answer in half an hour.
Okay.
Or I'll
got
tell
it.
you right now because I already know it.
So the speed of how fast we move generally is on the business owner. So in this case, you were able to do this pretty lickety split.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Within a few weeks, we determined that we need, and this is for the primarily for the this gentleman's wife's benefit, is to hire someone internally in the office, someone who is a real strong accounting degree, finance or accounting degree, who could help free her from some of the things that are going on in the office. The other thing that is thrown on top of these two things, is that this business is growing 25% a year for the last several years. So the transactions that are going on in the front side of the office are increasing at a rapid pace. So that's going on too. And she wants to get out, or at least reduce the amount of time.
Right.
So that was one. The second one is that the owner of the business, because of the growth, it's a distribution company, had spent a lot of time managing and organizing and making sure that orders were brought in on time and shipped out on time and were assembled correctly and that type of thing. So we decided that we needed a warehouse manager.
Right.
So that was one of the first revelations, is that he needed some help. He needed an additional couple of managers to help run this thing.
Well, and just for a second, Pete, one of the reasons he didn't know all of this was because he was so busy, is what I'm hearing you say.
Oh, absolutely. And Peg, you went down with me to look at the place. Mm-hmm. When he opened up the door to his warehouse, you could barely walk through it. I mean, you almost couldn't move because there's so much inventory. And some of it in boxes, out of boxes, old equipment, new equipment. I mean, just chaos, basically.
Right.
Now, that's the not so good news. The good news is very profitable and growing rapidly. So everything's good, right? But this gentleman's having to work more and more and more steadily over time.
Which happens. So a lot of you might be listening saying, God, that's me, because I'm getting busier and I keep on taking more. Well, What we want you to do is first call us, Peg and Pete, at 614-306-7922, because what we do is make sure that you find a love for your business, that make sure you maintain your profitability.
Yeah.
One of which, in this case, it meant bringing on a warehouse person, which you helped him hire.
Yep.
Because he didn't have time to hire him.
Oh, of course not. No,
So
he's way too busy. Yeah.
You had to actually
hire
hire
the
him.
other thing that he would be doing is they like to camp. He'd go take the camper, go someplace for the weekend, nice and relaxing, right? And he's got a pile of commission reports to go through and figure out how much commission to pay each of his sales guys.
So he's working.
And he's doing it on the weekend. And that's the only time it was possible for him to even do it, is on the weekend.
And so you knew that he needed some new people. So
Right.
you hired this warehouse person.
Right.
So now how does the warehouse look?
Well, actually, a couple of things have happened. One, they moved into a new, not a new, but a larger facility.
Which we're going to get into in a minute.
We'll get into that in a minute. That is organized and under control. And he's got this great young, and not that young, but late 20s, early 30s warehouse manager who is learning the business very rapidly. It's coming up on a year for him.
Wow.
And he's doing a great job. And the business grew at 30 to 35% for the last 6 months because the owner loves to sell. And he's out in the field more.
Selling.
So it's actually accelerated his growth, which is really fun.
So you ended up bringing in a warehouse person, bringing in a new financial person, and then also you brought in another salesperson, correct?
That's true. Yeah,
we
promoted
so you brought in
someone
3 people.
internally to sell. We've had one person retire in the sales area, and we've got one more that we're going to make a change again in the next 6 months.
And you brought in a service person, too.
Another service person. Right.
So he was way under manpowered. You went in and helped him secure and put in place a new org chart with 5 new
And we didn't
hires.
do this all at once. We sat down, he and I and his wife sat down and said, okay, here's approximately what each individual is going to cost, and here's how difficult it might be to find these people. And we set an order of importance, who we're going to hire first. And we did the warehouse person, then the bookkeeping person, accounting person, and then we did the service person and the salesperson. So we set them in order. So it wasn't like it was overnight. It was planned. It was organized. And, you know, one of the things that he said he was so we have a word that we use. It's called perturbation. And if you look it up, it actually means a disturbance.
Right.
And he was very disturbed. Remember, Peg, when he first signed on to get some help.
When you first call us, there might be this moment where you're like, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? And what we do is we want you to push through it.
Right.
Because on the other end, it's relief, it's excitement, it's joy, it's success.
Right. And the great thing about this gentleman, he told us, I'm very disturbed at this point, just starting.
Mm-hmm.
Within a couple months, we had a very clear plan, and we'd already hired the warehouse manager. And he saw that, yes, this is creating a little bit of work. I have to train this person. But a year later, he said, everything we talked about is coming true. Everything.
It was a year.
Yeah.
It was pretty exciting. So that's why we're doing this case study, because you are seeing a company that was growing at 25%. Now they're at 35%. Right. They've increased profitability from, I don't know what.
Oh, it's very, very profitable. It was profitable before.
It's just even more so.
More profitable.
And you've given this gentleman some peace of mind.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so that was the category of people, right?
Yes,
and
that's
management and
management,
putting
yeah.
people in the right place. Okay,
So
what's our
thinking
second
about
one?
this, and let's talk about management just for a minute longer here, is that thinking about not just the structural things of, hey, I need a warehouse manager, I need an accountant. Some of the things that we'd like to do, and Peg, you're really good at this stuff because you could chime in here, is that making sure that as a management team that you treat employees in a way that they're thrilled to be part of your team, right?
Right.
Is getting people together informally or socially. When's the last time we brought food into the office, or we went to a ball game together, or did something,
Or
as
did
a
a
team,
cookout.
a
A cookout.
Yes.
Or a breakfast.
And these may sound simple, but it's the simple things that make great teams. Verbal or written appreciation, it becomes part of the employee's work experience. So
and all of this is part of a culture, too, that you're
Yes,
setting in place, which we
cultural
talked
things.
about.
Right.
And the culture is defined as, in this case, is how are we treating each other?
Right.
What are we allowing?
Yep. Think about the work environment. Is it possible in certain types of roles could you have flex time where they're working Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday, time off for above and beyond the call of duty, improve potentials for promotion. One of the things that's happened in this company is the high performers know we're growing and we're going to keep growing, and I can move up. They know this now. Next one, pleasant work facilities. That new office, people are thrilled about it.
Okay, so so we're moving on to again, this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. We're talking about value drivers, what value drivers are in a business. We talked a lot about the people, about the management team. The second thing we're talking about now is the way the place looks. Am I right?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, that's one of the factors.
So
of
let's
course,
talk about
for
that.
the employees.
Yeah,
right.
for the employees. Oh, okay. It's not a second one. It's
Right.
part of the employees. Okay, giving them a nice work environment. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, that's nice, Pete. I like that.
To the point, and again, this gentleman's wife, making sure that people have chairs that are comfortable in the office. Because in the office, in these accounting jobs, you're in your chair a lot.
Or that you have a stand-up desk when you're asked for
If
it.
you'd like a stand-up desk, you have one.
Or a bigger screen. These are things that employees ask for, and it's not that much money to keep them happy.
Right.
And look at their work environment. I like that. Okay, good.
Assignment of challenging work. It sounds funny, but some people really thrive on being challenged.
Well, absolutely.
Do your job. And also, is there a way that you could help us write a procedure in this company? And this is an example, again, the same company. We got the right people in place to determine the exact order process to go all the way through from the point where one of our clients calls and says, hey, I might want to purchase a piece of equipment. How do we handle it from that all the way through to buying the equipment and delivering, installing it, and training at the customer's facility and invoicing it, collecting? We have systems for that entire process.
Well, you ended up writing the system with them because as they grew, we had to have the new employees be able to execute the system.
Right.
Okay, good.
So in addition, staff meetings. How often are you communicating your employees and what are you communicating at those points?
Okay.
And then doing a survey occasionally to make sure that people are satisfied.
That's a
with
good idea.
How things are going.
And we will go into companies and help do surveys. In fact, when you do hire us, that's the first thing we do. We'll go in and talk to your team one-on-one in some format to get a feel of how the company is doing. So what we've done so far, Pete, is we're visiting a case study. We're looking at value drivers. We covered the people part of the value,
Right.
and some of the elements there. And then when we return, we're going to continue on with the value drivers and head into that next.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more Business Talk.
All right, we're talking about value drivers today, and it's Peg and Pete with Business Talk. And again, we have a coaching firm here in the Columbus, Ohio area, but we work with clients around the country, really.
We do. We absolutely do. And it's great because we're here just locally. And it's so fun because we work with some businesses that are just a few minutes away. And we're like, that we're talking to New Zealand. And we do it over Skype or in Michigan or Texas or California. And here we get to be right here with you.
In New Jersey.
Yes, in
Mahwah,
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. So we're all over the place. And today we're going to give you some ideas and tips on how to increase the value of your business. And we're using this with a case study of what Pete has worked hand in hand with a company on this. So we talked about the people. Now where are we going to go into, Pete? What's another value?
The other thing, and this is, some of these seem obvious, but establishing a diversified customer base. So making sure that, and we have ups and downs in the economy all the time. Sometimes we have cycles within the bigger economic cycle. So some industries may, for example, the car industry or the oil and gas industry, some of these things may slow down while the economy in general is speeding up. One of the sub-sectors of the economy may be slowing down. So we want to diversify our customer base enough that one customer loss or one slowdown from a customer doesn't hurt our business dramatically.
Got it. And,
right?
and is there a recommended percentage that, because in the past, Pete and I have talked, and we walked into one company where 80% of their business, I have two companies. One, it was 80%. Another company, it was 70%.
Right.
And what we did, I have to tell you, it was really sort of exciting because I want to tell you the end. We went in and it was one of the companies that we coached a few years ago, and there was this. The gentleman walked in, the owner walked into the meeting with all the employees, and put the number 70, had it on a screen. Said, okay, I want to get everybody, what does 70 mean? What does 70 mean? And everybody went through, and it was really fun listening to, what does 70 mean?
Yeah.
And he said 70 means that 70% of our business is from one client, and,
right.
we can't have that. And our goal, so it was creating a priority and a focus, and so we had fun with it. What is it going to be? And so what we did is we created a marketing plan because everybody was executing it on how can we make that to 50. How can we? And the neat part
reduce the risk.
Reducing the risk. And that doesn't mean that we wanted by the way, we did not want that number to go down. Like we didn't want less business from them.
Right.
We needed to grow the whole business.
And decrease the percentage.
Yes.
Okay.
And it worked.
Yep.
And it worked. And so what's the number now?
That was an aerospace company, right?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
It was a different one.
I'm thinking of the aerospace supplier.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. That too. So this customer base is really important. Because
and as Peg mentioned, we may not be stuck on, hey, it's got to be below this percentage or that percentage, but it'd be good for you, and you probably do this in your head anyway, but to actually take last year's numbers and figure out percentage-wise how diversified is your customer base. So the first thing would be take a look at the real numbers and forget the opinions. Look at the actual sales.
I like that.
For last year and maybe the first quarter, because we're into the second quarter. Take a look at last year, look at the first quarter. First quarter and last year are roughly the same. Great. Well, let's take a look at those percentages, and then you and the management team, or you and the owners, if there are other owners, if you have a team there, is decide, are we at risk here? Maybe you're not.
Yeah, but that's a good question to ask. That's a really good exercise to do. And you know what would be great is for you to come back and say, it's not a problem.
The other thing, and I'm thinking about this aerospace company in St. Louis, Peg, that we work with for a long time, is their sales cycle was so long that if you decide you want to get into another aerospace company, it took 3 years to get where they got the first order from the next company. Now they've have orders from 3 different companies. They still have a huge amount from the one, but it took them 2.5 to 3 years to get the first nibble.
Well, in the company I was talking about, it took every bit of 3. It's usually not going to be a 1-year plan.
So this is not an overnight.
This isn't, and it's interesting because we are working with an engineering company who is diversifying as well, and the celebration of progress after 3 years is important because you want so much more because you're driven to results, but you have to realize that it does take time.
Right.
Because you're creating relationships, people are testing you. Then, once you get one order, then maybe you get more, and it's over time.
But you're being methodical about it, and you're doing it because you've set a goal to diversify.
Right. So I like that. Okay, so a value driver that Pete is talking about that you've worked on with other companies, and then the one case study that we're talking about, they were already diversified, correct?
Yes.
We didn't have to worry about diversifying our customer base. Okay, good.
Right. And the reason we bring that up is that if I'm a potential buyer, I come in and take a look at your books and I ask you, okay, give me a Pareto chart on your top 20 customers. And if I find out 85% of your business is with one, I may drop the value of your business by a percentage.
It's risky.
Just say, well, I was going to pay you $5 million for this business, but I think I might pay you $4 million.
It's a little risky.
And all buyers are going to look at it. So you've got to take a look at what they're going to see. and determine whether or not it is risky.
I like that.
Okay, so the next one is appearance of the facility consistent with the asking price.
Okay, so let's go back to our case study. Go back to our case study and what happened there.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Again, this is a distribution company, rapidly growing distribution company. When Peg and I walked in and looked at the office over a year ago now, office is a little run down. The roof actually leaked at that business. The roof leaked, the ceiling tiles were stained, and once in a while, the computers would get wet in the office. But
not the best case scenario.
Yeah, not the best case scenario.
And again, it wasn't that they didn't have the money; it was they didn't have the time or the resources.
They didn't own that building,
right?
So, and the landlord didn't want to fix the roof because he didn't want to spend $50,000 or $60,000 to redo the roof. So, what happened is a whole series of events happened. We looked at the growth of the business, we looked at the condition of the building. We looked at, because we're starting to deal with larger companies and occasionally bringing them into the office, we wanted to project an image where we could bring someone from a larger company in and be really proud of the place and be able to facilitate having a company that's growing at 25-30% a year. So in 2 years, you're going to have, or in 3 to 5 years, you're going to have a doubling of your company.
We wanted to look the part.
Right.
We wanted to look the part because not that, and what's interesting is this company, again, the value drivers, it's not that they're selling now. It's not that, I don't even know if they will sell down the road. It's just increasing the value of what they have.
Right.
And how does it look when you walk in?
And we negotiated with the landlord and almost bought that building and expanded it. So that was the first attack, is we're going to expand the building. We had a plan of, here's 2 or 3 things we need to do to facilitate our growth, and we're going to purchase the building so that we can do whatever we want with it, because it hadn't changed in about 15 years. We got real close in negotiations, and the terms, we just couldn't work it out. So then we started looking at other properties, and within a few months, we found another property very close, and he's signed a long-term lease, and they're in. And
they bought it.
Yeah.
They bought this, and it looks good now, and it facilitates. It looks good. And so going back to what you said at the beginning of the break is, look at your facility, and is it a nice place for your team to go?
Right.
Is it a nice place for your customers to show? So, okay, so now you worked on their facilities. So we have great cash flow. We have great team members. We've gotten a new place now. And this is all you've done in a year and a half.
Right. Right. And think about, we added, in that company, we added 3 key new employees. And I'm just giving you a tip here, is just communicating the message that the business is clean, well organized, and it's run well. If your office is clean and organized, it tends to indicate that you run a tight ship, and it's going to be a great place to work. So when our new employees came in, there was a lot of excitement about the new building and the new facility, and hey, we get to organize it how we want it, and we're going to have a great place to work.
And they
for
do.
a long period of time.
And they do, in a place where they can grow. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I like those. Those are all really good value drivers. Are there any other value drivers that we should touch upon?
Yeah, so the next thing would be growth strategy. How are we going to grow this business?
Right.
So making sure we have a documented plan for how we're going to grow.
Well, and in this case, this gentleman had it, he had some different types of large companies, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That he was going to grow by, right? And then he was also opening up a satellite office in an underdeveloped city.
Yeah, we've actually signed a long-term lease in another city where there was business potential, but we didn't have equipment staged down there. So now the sales guys can drive down there and demonstrate equipment to buyers in that city. And that's worked out really well. It's been one of the reasons that now they're growing at 30% instead of 20%.
Well, and then in addition to that, although they don't have this choice, there are new product lines coming in that he's able to sell as well. Mm-hmm. So, because there's a different division that he and you are looking at to increase product lines. Of course, that means new people, a whole new different division.
Right.
But I guess we should, when we return, we should keep talking about the growth strategies because there's all different areas, correct?
Right.
That we can go into. So we'll finish up with growth strategies, and will we have enough time to go through leadership do's
We
and
may,
don'ts?
Peg. We may. You should mention the Growth Club, the 90-day planning session on June 16th.
Yes, it's from 8 a.m. to 3:30. It's in Grandview. If you would, it's right around the corner here. So it's if you want to call 614-306-7922. The first 2 callers, you are to businesses, you will get to bring you and a guest to this 90-day planning session we call Growth Club. And again, that's 614-306-7922. We would love to see you there.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
All right, so we've been talking about value drivers. How do we make sure that we're demonstrating to a potential buyer of our business that we've got a growth strategy in place?
Well, and one of the things is I want you to go to our website in case you haven't heard this whole show in its entirety and or our other shows. Now, we have a firm, Pete and I do, and it's Michelle, Angie, and both Pete and I, and you can go on our website. It's called takeactionbusinesscoaching.com, and you will see our radio shows. You also see our pictures and some of our programs, and you'll get a little more in depth about each one of us and our biographies. But feel free to click on and listen to these shows in your car because you're going to learn a lot. And if you here's the thing about coaching, though. It's not just training and listening. It's about doing something with what you know. Because the difference between coaching and training is we're going to make sure that it gets done. And this gentleman, the case study that we've been talking through this program is he was very successful already. He didn't realize how much more successful he could be. And I say that meaning not just monetarily, but time, peace of mind, time, planning.
Well, the other thing that's happened is his wife is able to spend, now she's working maybe 15 to 20 hours a week in his business. And the rest of her week, she's working on her other business that she loves. She's passionate about it.
That's wonderful.
And she's thrilled. She's absolutely thrilled.
And I think she probably wants in the end to only be in there 5 hours to 10 hours a week.
Yeah, right.
So she'll gradually keep going down.
Yep.
So one of the value drivers that we talked about right before we left for break was growth strategies, right, Pete? Is there anything more on the growth strategies?
No, just real quick, just a couple bullet points here. Just making sure that we have increased demand for the company's products, and you want to know what are the demographics, what are the population growth, and the people that I'm selling to. Do I have new products, new product lines being developed, coming online? Do I recognize market trends, and how are we adapting to make sure that a potential buyer can look at a plan that's fairly realistic and based on facts and data, and that you have a plan for how we're going to do that? And another thing, and we've helped several business owners with this, is to help them grow through acquisition. Are there companies that are smaller than us or that are conveniently located, or maybe we mentioned a city where we'd like to do business that we could buy?
Right, absolutely.
And grow that way as well. There's nothing wrong with that.
So it's interesting as we work with some of our clients, whether they're accounting firms or mergers and acquisition or equity companies, one of the things they do is they do bring us in to help increase the value of what they've just bought. Right. Because that's what we do, is we help them make sure that it's an investment. And so if you're sitting here listening to us, then why aren't we doing that for you? We should be.
It's a good question.
Because it works. Now, here's the only thing is that's really important. It works when you do what you say you're going to do, you're open to new ideas, and you're wanting to grow. As long as you have those three things, it'll soar. It'll soar, and it's a fun. It's fun and it's thrilling because you get great results, and it really inspires and inspires not just you but the whole team. The whole team gets excited, and that's what you did. That was a great case study.
Oh, it's fun.
It was great.
It's very fun.
And it really does start with the leader. And that's why we wanted to make sure, Pete, that we left a few minutes of our program. We wanted to talk a little bit about some do's and don'ts. I really like this book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry. Right. He has a wonderful email site called TalentSmart.com, an email newsletter, a site that if you want to sign up for his newsletters, they're wonderful.
Yeah, and if you haven't read that book, it's a great book. You know, we talk about three key areas that everybody's wired in a way. Number one, our intelligence. So our native intelligence is what it is. It's probably not going to change much throughout our lives. We've got our behavior profile, and DISC or Myers-Briggs are an indication, a way to test and find out what that behavior profile is. In other words, how do I react to certain situations? How do I typically react? How do I like to gather information? How do I relate to other people? And then the last part of it is this emotional intelligence area. And Travis has written this great book that will help you to increase your emotional intelligence by some real specific strategies. And these are great for anybody in a leadership position or with your family.
So here, what we thought we would do is we're going to call it the no-nos. The things to make sure, the no-nos.
Okay,
we
cool.
want to make sure that there are some items that you do not say.
Yeah, so some things that smart people don't say.
So here's some phrases that emotionally intelligent people are careful to avoid. I'm going to start with the first one, then I'll let you do it.
And then we'll also suggest what you could say instead.
Exactly. I love it. Love it. So the one is, you look tired.
Are you talking to me?
Tired people are incredibly unappealing. That they have droopy eyes. They look you can imagine they're look
sagging.
Sort of, yeah, they're sagging. They're looking exhausting. You're basically telling someone he looks tired implies that, you know what, you're having trouble concentrating. You look sort of grouchy. Yeah. Okay. So instead of saying that, say something like, is everything okay? Most people ask if someone is tired because they're intending to be helpful, like they think something's wrong. Yeah. So the goal is...
You're going, aw, you look tired.
Exactly. So what the goal is when you are looking at someone, switch that around and say, is everything okay? I'm here for you kind of thing.
Or how are you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And maybe they'll want to talk about something else rather than, I didn't sleep but 2 hours last night because the dog... threw up on the floor or whatever.
So that's a no-no. Okay, Pete.
There's a no-no. Yes,
that's
we'll do
no-no.
a yes. So we'll have a no-no, and then we'll do a yes. This is good. And this is good for couples as well. You always or you never. Ooh.
Oh, tell me about that. So what do we do instead?
No one always or never does anything. People don't see themselves as one-dimensional, so you shouldn't help to, if you're trying to define them, you always fill in the blank.
Right.
It almost always comes off with a negative connotation. Simply point out what the other person did that's a problem. Stick to the facts. You can say, it seems like you do this frequently. Honey. I threw the honey in at the end.
Like the honey because that's important.
Sweetie.
Staying away from that. I like that. I like that a lot. Or you do this often enough for me to notice it.
Yeah.
That's a better twist.
I think you're confused.
All right, let's go to a third one. Ready? Okay,
right.
Here's another one. This is a no-no. Well, as I said before.
Oh, yeah, like you never listened to me.
We all forget things from time to time. I think I've said that to you before. Well, don't you remember when I said that? Well, obviously no, because I wouldn't ask the question if that. Yeah. It makes you're insulting that person because it's like, oh, you have to repeat yourself. And that's not how you want people to feel. You don't want to say that, make them feel bad. That's not what it's about.
You know what this is all revolving around? It's something when we're in a workshop, sometimes we'll write 2 words on the board or on the flip chart. It's task and relationship.
Right.
We want to get the thing done that we want to get done, right? And we want to maintain or improve the relationship. And that's what these things are all about.
That's exactly what this is.
Get the job done.
So instead of saying, well, as I said before, don't you remember, you say, when you say it again, see what you can do to convey the message so that it's more clear.
Like if you yell
more
it,
interesting.
that might help.
Well, it's funny because sometimes I'll say, is there a better way that I can communicate it via text or email so that we can be, on the same page?
Should I write it on your hand so you remember the milk?
Exactly, right? Exactly. So making sure that's a no-no. So we're going to avoid that one.
Avoid, as I said before.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So what's another one, Pete?
The next one, this is a no-no. Good luck.
Oh, now what's wrong with good luck?
Well, it's subtly negative. It certainly isn't the end of the world if you wish to someone good luck, but you can do better because the phrase implies they need luck. Well, they're not competent enough to just do it without your luck. Good luck. Good luck with that.
So what should we say instead? I like this. This is good.
You could say, I know you can do it. I know you have what it takes.
I like that. Think about giving your good wishes to your kids or your significant other right before a big event.
Yeah. My daughter Emily's walking the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, my goodness.
And I didn't say, good luck, as I'm frightened out of my skull,
I like
but she's doing great.
Yeah, that does sound good. Okay, that's a no-no. Okay, I got another one. Ready? Okay. It's up to you. I mean, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that sounds like you may be indifferent, but really your opinion is important. That's why people are asking. So it's important to do that.
It's like you're throwing in the emotional towel. You're throwing it in. You're like, yeah, whatever. You
Yeah.
do whatever you want to do. You're
Yeah.
going to do it anyway.
It just doesn't show that a commitment and or a buy-in or in any interest. So instead,
This is the yes.
This is a yes. You say, I don't have a strong opinion either way. But a couple things to consider are, because when you're offering an opinion, it shows that you care. And it's so often, as kids you have teenagers. I have these teenagers that are just wonderful girls. I'm so fortunate. And sometimes I'll get that and they'll go, well, I don't care, whatever. I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's not very caring.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that.
They're dismissing you.
Right.
They're
Like, I don't want
flushing
to put my thought.
you.
Yeah, I don't want to put my thought and energy into it.
Oh, I like this one. Again,
Okay.
these are things to avoid. So
This
usually,
is a no-no.
Yeah, I know.
And then we're going to do a yes. Okay.
All right, ready? Well, at least I've never fill in the blank.
Okay, a
Whoa.
phrase. All right, talk to me about
Like I'm
this
not
one.
as dumb as you. It's an aggressive way to shift attention away from your mistake by pointing out an old, likely irrelevant mistake the other person made, and that you should have forgiven them by now.
I think that could be fighting words.
Them are fighting words, man. Instead, say, I'm sorry.
It's so simple. It's
Owning
so
up to your
simple.
mistakes is the best way to bring the decision to a more rational, calm place.
I like that.
Wow.
It's so often what emotional intelligence is all about is making sure that you have control of your thoughts and your actions so that you don't do these things. Emotional control.
It implies that you should think before you speak.
Yes, that's another way.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I've got
I never
one.
thought of that.
I've got one. This might be our last one. Wow, Pete, you've lost a ton of weight.
Oh, man. Is that why you used to call me Blimpy?
It's a well-meaning comment, but really,
Don't wear
it's telling
horizontal
someone,
stripes.
it's telling that she has lost a lot of weight. Just she looked really fat or unattractive, or he did before. Instead, you look fantastic.
Yeah. Just, you look fantastic.
You look fantastic.
And they can imply whatever they want.
Right. You got to be careful how you use these phrases. And
Okay.
well, we've had a lot of fun today. I like our phrases, our no-nos and our yes-yeses. So we want to thank you so much for listening today. We had a great beginning program with value drivers. And again, you can look at our website, takeactionbusinesscoaching.com, for this show in its entirety and other shows. And we are looking forward to seeing you next Saturday, same place and same time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.